Hello, hi everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Okay, so quickly let's start the session today. So yesterday we tried to discuss regarding the release procedure. So first we discussed regarding the P2P cycle. We understood how to raise the purchase requisition, purchase order, all those things. And then we saw how to release the PO. The next step is the release. So we saw release. After releasing the PO or PR, the next step is how are we going to send the purchase order to supplier? So to send the purchase order to supplier, we need to discuss regarding the output management. So today's topic will be the output management. So let me share my screen. So today's topic will be the output management. So what is output management? Output management is going to support us to send any documents to the external system or the internal system. Okay. So when I say we are going to send the documents to the external system or internal system, in how many ways are we going to send this? And how are we going to do this? And how are we going to generate the documents? Okay. So as I said, whenever we place any transaction, anything we are doing basically in system, in that case, first let us discuss what is input and what is output. So input is nothing but the purchase requisition or the purchase order or the contract. All these are input. When we are placing this input, PR, PO, and contract, we will have some information saying that when we need to raise the PR, when we need to raise the PO, and when we need to raise the contract. In some cases, we might get a verbal communication saying that please raise this purchase order because we are going out of the stock. In some cases, we might get an email saying that please raise the purchase order for this because we are not having the stock and we need the stock immediately. Okay, as soon as we send the purchase order, okay, and we will receive the confirmation from supplier. So this is the input. So whatever we receive from external system or whatever we receive from verbal communication, it might be verbal communication, it might be through email, it might be through system. Anything which is coming to you is an input. Based on that input, you are going to act. Now, as soon as you receive the input, you are going to act as I mentioned. Then you are going to generate the documents for the required input. After you create the documents, you are going to send those documents to the respective person. And that is called as an output. So sending any document out of system is called as an output. It might be purchase order, it might be contract, it might be schedule lines. Here, PR is an internal document. You will not be sending the PR to anyone. PR is an internal document, the purchase requisition is an internal document. You will not be sending this to anyone. Apart from PR, all the documents like PO, contract, schedule agreement, all these are the output documents, external documents. You will be sending those to the suppliers or anyone. Okay, so when we saw P2P cycle, whenever you do any transaction, let me take purchase order. When you do any transaction in the system, or when the transaction gets completed, and that transaction needs to be sent to someone. In that case, the first step is a creation. After creation, someone needs to approve it. Only then it should be outputted. Only then it should be outputted. So you need to set the system saying that whenever I raise a document, the first checkpoint should be, please check if the release procedure is applied or not. If the release is not applied, then as soon as I create, then directly go to the supplier. If the release is affected or release applied, in that case, after release, you need to go to the supplier. Okay, so this is called as an output management. So how are we going to manage the output? Okay, so whenever we create an output trigger, whenever we trigger an output or create an output from the transaction, one output will definitely come when the release is applied. So in that case, you will have the document number getting generated. So a reference document number getting generated through which the data is sent. When I say the data is sent, the data will always fetch from the table and fields. So yesterday also we discussed regarding the tables when we started discussing regarding release procedure. For PR it is CEBAN. For PO it is CEEKO. This is only for release. Apart from release, when we come to other topics, for PR it is EBAN. For PO it is EKKO for the header and EKPO for item. Okay, so the information, how the information is sent to supplier, from where the information is fetched. The information will be fetched from this table. For PR, it is EBAN, but it is not sent to supplier, just for information. For PO, it is EKKO and EKPO. So all the information is getting stored here, and those will get printed on your PO, and it will be sent to supplier. So this is the output management. To be more clear, whenever we have an input from anyone, or it might be a purchase requisition, it can be a verbal communication. A purchase requisition is raised. Once the purchase requisition is raised, we are going to convert that PR to PO or contract. Okay, that PO or contract is an external document. Once it is created, we need to get that approved from someone, approved by manager or anyone. As soon as it is approved, the purchase order should be sent to the supplier or any third-party system. Only then they will be able to understand, okay, the requirement is raised by this system. We need to supply the goods to them. Without communication, the supplier or anyone will not know the requirement is raised. To make this achieve, we have this functionality called as output management. Okay, any questions here before I move further? Any questions?
Venkatesh, in general, how many this kind of tables are available in SAP for MM?
For all the transactions, for all the documents, what we will be seeing here, you have the tables and fields. So whenever you have a screen, any screen, might be any screen. For all the screens, you have the table and field.
Okay.
Yes, I have a doubt about this purchase requisition. Why it is called as input document and why it is not called as output document? Purchase requisition is related to requesting to purchase some materials from outside, right?
Yes, you are requesting, but from whom you are requesting?
Different suppliers or manufacturers.
Then it should be an internal document, right? You are not going to send the requirement. That is an internal requirement for you. If someone is asking, I need this item, are you going to send that directly to the other person? You are not, you don't know whom to send, but how you're going to whom you're going to send. In purchase requisition, you will not have any information. It is just a requisition asking that there is a material, we need this many quantity,
Mhm.
we need, and on this date we need the material.
Yes, yes, yes.
Apart from this, you don't have any document. You don't know whom to send. If you don't know whom to send, how you're going to send?
Okay, okay.
That is the reason it is called as internal document. When you have any external parties involved in the document, then that document is called as an external document.
That means output, right?
Yes.
Okay, clear.
Any more questions? Okay. If no questions, now let's start discussing regarding. We know that why we are going to send the output and from where we are going to send and from where the data is also fetched and how the document number is getting generated. So now let us see in how many ways, in how many formats are we going to send or how are we going to send the output to the vendors. So first option is the printout. Whenever the purchase order is created, you will be able to see the purchase order and you can print the purchase order and send to suppliers. That is the first option. So the second option will be email. So we can set the system such a way that whenever you create a purchase order, an output should get triggered automatically and fetch the email ID from the vendor master and send an email to the vendor directly from there. Here you don't want to do anything. System will take care of everything. Let me repeat. Once the transaction has been completed, when I say the PO is created, you can send an email to your vendor stating that the purchase order we have created, this is the number, this is the items we need. And the email ID is fetched from the vendor master. And you can also mention that please do confirmation on that. Okay. Apart from that, we have multiple kinds of outputs. We can also inform through fax. Even the fax number can be taken from the vendor master. Okay. And now comes the important step. If you want to directly send the purchase order to the supplier system, so there is an option called you create a purchase order. And when you're sending that to the supplier system, he will receive just a PDF in all these three cases. He'll open the PDF manually and he will enter the data in his system and create a sales order. For you, it is a purchase order. To the vendor, it is a sales order, right? When you are purchasing something, you are purchasing, but supplier is selling to you. For him, it is a sales order. So he will open the purchase order and create the sales order in his system. And there is another option called where you can send the data from system to system. So when you're sending the data from your system to the supplier system, they don't want to do anything manually. Your PO will go and directly land in his system as a sales order. So that functionality can be done through IDOC. IDOC is nothing but intermediate document. This IDOC is used to send the data from one system to other system. In some cases, in most of the cases, IDOC is used in the internal processing, but IDOC is also used for the external processing. You can trigger, you can send the data to the external system and get that created automatically there. Okay, I just took an example of purchase order here for output management, but you can try this for any documents. You can try these documents for contracts, schedule agreements, all those things. Okay, the only question comes when this output needs to be triggered. So when you're configuring this output management, you need to think of three questions. So first thing is when. When to trigger output. I already answered this question, I guess. So I said, once the PO is created, check for the approval flow. If the approval flow is exist, check if the PO is approved or not, then trigger the output. Second case, whenever we create a purchase order, check if there is an approval flow. If there is no approval flow, then directly trigger an output to the supplier. That is the first question, when the output needs to be triggered. Second thing, on what condition output to be triggered. So yesterday we discussed regarding the conditions in the release procedure. So we said yesterday, whenever the document type is this, plant is this, and value is this, only then the output should be triggered. So yesterday we also tried positive and negative case. We tried creating a purchase requisition with a different document type. The output did not get triggered. And when we changed the document type to the correct document type based on the conditions, the output got triggered. So we are setting a rule that only in these cases, the release procedure should get approved or its release procedure should get triggered. In the same way, for the output management also, we are telling some conditions saying that only in this condition, the output should get triggered. Why are we doing those? Why are we differentiating? For this purchase orders, this output should get triggered. For this purchase order, the output should not get triggered. Because assume that you have some thousands of suppliers. In those thousands of suppliers, some suppliers are advanced. They are ready to receive the purchase order through EDI or IDOC. In that case, you need to set a different condition. Some vendors are still using email or fax. In that case, you need to have different condition for them. Some vendors still does not have email or fax or IDOC. They still need the PDF to be sent through email. Or you need to hand over the PDF to them directly. So based on this criteria, we are going to differentiate the outputs, specifying those in the conditions. Okay. Third thing, to whom? To whom output to be triggered? Okay. So we need to decide whether are we going to send the email to the supplier directly or whether we are going to send the purchase order or any other document through external system or internal system. Okay. So we need to send it to whom we need to send, when we need to send, whether it need to be sent always or only on depending on some conditions. We need to set this everything. So when you are configuring these things, so when, what, and whom, when you're doing this in system, that is called as an output management. Basically, if you see at higher level, the answers of these three questions to control this, that whom the output need to be generated, when the output need to be generated, and how the output need to be generated. So this mechanism is called as the output management. Let me repeat again. So output management is a mechanism where the output is to be decided, what output need to be generated, when it needs to be generated, and how it needs to be generated, and whom it needs to be sent. Giving the full control to system is nothing but the output management. So each and every time we cannot go and trigger the output manually. Per day, if it is a big business or a large scale business, they might generate some thousands of POs per day. You cannot go and manually trigger the POs individually there, manually. So we need to set an automated version where the output is triggering automatically. Based on that, the POs will be sent to suppliers smoothly. Okay. So we can also have a background job set for this, a manual running transaction set for this. So how are we going to do this automated? How are we going to trigger the output automatically? So that is what an output management is, and that is what we are going to see today. Okay. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, then I'll move further. Now, whenever we discuss some other topics, we also need to discuss what is the difference between ECC and S4. In this output management, earlier in ECC, there was only one way to manage the output, that is a condition technique. So output management was happening based on condition technique. You need to give the conditions. Based on the condition, system used to work. But in S4 HANA, you have two ways. One is same output management through condition technique, and the other one is the BRF plus. Other one is the BRF plus. This is a new output management triggering tool. In S4 HANA, you have two how you can trigger the output, but in ECC you have only one, just condition technique. So when S4 HANA is having a new output management or a condition technique, both are available to trigger the output. Condition techniques, some people will use condition techniques, some people will use BRF plus. Because this output management is not only dedicated for MM module, it is used by multiple modules. For example, when even the SD people, the sales and distribution people uses this to send the confirmations to the customers. Okay, the warehouse people will create, or warehouse people will use this to generate the GR slip. So multiple modules uses this output management or the BRF plus. So normally in every business, they don't use BRF plus, they use condition technique. Because in BRF plus, you don't have many conditions. So this BRF plus was introduced in the year 1511, the version, SAP version of 1511. So 15 is nothing but the year, that is nothing but 2015, and 11 is nothing but the month, November. In November 2015, SAP has introduced BRF plus, So when SAP has introduced this new BRF Plus, it was introduced only for some documents like purchase orders, billing documents, all those things. And then they extended it for 20 different documents, which involved finance, inventory management, procurement, sales, all these modules. Okay. So initially, when SAP came with BRF Plus in 1511, they said that there are a lot of updates, a lot of upgrades you'll be doing it for BRF Plus, so that the output management will be BRF Plus going forward. But this new output management had a lot of restrictions. It does not have a lot of functionalities which are available in condition techniques. So when you say condition technique, you can create output for any document at any condition level. But in BRF Plus, you don't have much functionalities to do that. You have only a set of conditions which you can decide. Only a set of conditions. Then what they decided after 1 year, all the business came up with complaining that the BRF Plus is not suitable for the output management. Better than BRF Plus, we have the condition technique. Then in 1610 is nothing but 2016, October. So they released a note saying that, SAP released a note saying that the BRF Plus is no more used in SAP. They are going to obsolete this. Okay, for some objects, they kept it open, but for a lot of objects, they closed it. Okay, so this BRF Plus came into picture because they introduced a concept called Fury, which we saw yesterday. They started eliminating the consultant jobs. If the buyer is working in Fury, then he can have the apps generated to do the configuration on his own. When I say configuration, they are not doing the configuration. The first set of configuration is done by consultants, and later on the data management is done by the buyers or the end users. So they plan saying that for data maintenance, we don't need consultants. The buyer or the business can do the data maintenance by themselves. Thinking of that idea, they started creating a BRF Plus table, and they started doing the data maintenance there. But business complained that the data which we are maintaining in BRF Plus or the options we have in BRF Plus are more complex and they are not suitable for the end users. Then SAP moved the BRF Plus to the consultant bucket. Now the consultant is handling the BRF Plus. The BRF Plus is not handled for output triggering now. The BRF Plus is created for the custom tables. To just create a custom tables. That we will see in level 2 how the custom tables will be created, all those things. Okay, so as of now, for output management, we have only one option, which is called as condition technique. We don't have BRF Plus. Can anyone ask, you have any idea on BRF Plus? Yes, we have an idea on business framework. BRF Plus is nothing but the business framework. So you have an idea on it. But nowadays, this is not used for any other purpose. It is used only to build the custom tables. Okay. So we discussed regarding output management. We discussed regarding how are we going to trigger the outputs. And we discussed on what condition are we going to trigger this. And we also discussed regarding what are the different types of output management we have in ECC and S4. First thing, you need to decide on what conditions are we going to trigger this output. To decide that conditions, you need to create a condition table. So what we did yesterday, in release procedure, we took document type, we took plant, and we took value. So in the same way, you also need to pick any fields from the purchase order, depending on how you want to trigger the output. So if we take some conditions, so if we take the document type, if we take supplier, if you want, you can also take for the purchase organization. So let me take these three combinations. Whenever the document type is BMAT, supplier is 725, purchase org is 1994. In this case, trigger the output. This is a condition I'm going to set. So first thing, you need to decide what condition are we going to set to trigger the output to the vendors. Second thing, access sequence. This access sequence will play a very important role in upcoming configurations. Please remember that access sequence will automate the things. Based on the records we give. So yesterday what we did, we created the release procedure. We went to the transaction CL24N and we entered the records. What are the records? The values. So we entered BMAT, values, plants there. So those are the records. So access sequence is going to make the system automated to trigger the output automatically. So wherever you see access sequence, so you need to decide that there is something going to be automated here. The part and the advantage of access sequence, the main job of access sequence is to automate the things. Okay. Then you have the message types. How are we going to send the message? In what medium are we going to send? And when are we going to send? So everything is going to get decided here. Okay. Then you have the message determination. Message determination will help you to tell for what document. Sorry. For what document are we going to trigger the output? So access sequence will automate. Message type will tell what type of message. Printout, EDI, external send, all those things is decided here. In message determination, we are going to say for which document are we going to send. Then we have the partner role. So for example, in SAP, we saw business partner. We discussed what is a partners, what are partner roles. We also said that if vendor is going to have different branches all over India or all over the world, so you're going to send the orders to them and get the material from them. If the vendor is located in all over the world with different branches, to which branch do you want to send the purchase order? So we said we have ordering address, we have goods supplier, we have invoicing party, we have head office. Okay. If these are the branches, to which branch do you want to send the output or the purchase order? Okay. So this is decided based on the partner roles per message type. Okay. Then we have the output devices. Output devices are basically the printers. How are you going to set up the printers? We are not going to set up the printers. We are just assigning the printers. Okay. Then we need to discuss on the field relevant printout changes. So what this field relevant printout changes will do, whenever you raise a document, that document is sent to supplier. And after some days, you realize that this should not be the data. You need to change the data. And you will change it. And you will resend it. To resend, you need another functionality. So that can be activated here in the field relevant PO changes. Okay, so these are the configuration steps which we will be following to configure the output management. Here also in the output management, we need to follow each and every step carefully, because if the output is not triggering, we will not be able to find It is very difficult to find where the issue is. Okay. Before I move to system, any questions? In the meanwhile, I'll log into system. Let me share that screen and give it to you. Okay, any questions?
Please go ahead, Venkatesh.
Okay, if no questions, then I'll move further in system and show how to create output configuration. Give me a second. So same thing, we'll be using the transaction SPRO to do the configuration of output management. Or you can directly go to the transaction OLME. So that will directly take you to the purchasing configuration screen here. Here in this OLME, you need to search for the messages. So the configuration is done under messages. So you have the messages here. Under this messages, you have the output control. So the configuration of output is done here. So the configuration of output is very simple. You have less steps. first thing you have to decide on what condition are we going to create this output configuration. So first thing is condition table. Here in this condition table, as I mentioned, the output is not only decided for the purchase order, or output is not designed for purchase order. For MM consultant or MM module, you have the output can be configured for RFQ, for purchase orders, for the outline agreements, for the schedule agreement, and also for the inbound delivery. Okay, the format and the configuration is going to be similar to the purchase order what we are going to do today. So I go to the condition table and create a condition table saying that, for example, this is P15, I create P15. Table ID not allowed, it should be only number. Okay. Okay, so here you have the conditions. So these are the conditions. So I tell, now I decide what we decided based on the document type. First is a document type. If my document type, which is BSART, whenever you are working in the table level, see for the technical name, that will help you a lot. So based on the document type, I'm taking document type. I want the supplier. I want the purchase order. So I need to create the output management based on this combination. So select the information what you need. If you want, you can also add the supplying plan, the purchasing group, all those things, and generate. If you have any table which is having the same fields, system will keep a warning saying that you already have this field 025, which is with the same fields, saying that you don't want to create duplication. If you still want to create this, click on enter. Click on enter. System will ask you to generate. Click on S. And for this, when you're creating the condition tables, you will not find any transport request, which is TR. You can save it in the local object. You're going to save this in the local system. So the table with what you created is 515. Yeah, this is the first step. After this, the second step is to create the access sequence. The second step is to create the access sequence. So I'll close this condition table and go with the access sequence. As I mentioned, access sequence is going to automate the things. So you don't want to enter the output in the purchase order manually. System will directly pick the output into the purchase order. For that, you need to have the access sequence created. So I go execute. And this message is very important. So I think this message you would have already seen while when you create the text functionality for the P2P cycle. So when you see this message, that means the data is not going to save in the transport request. The data is going to save under the workbench TR. The difference between transport request and the workbench is whenever the data is getting stored in the transport request, you need to move it manually. When the data is getting stored in the workbench, you don't want to move from client to client. You can directly move from system to system. That you'll understand when I teach the transport request. As of now, understand that in TR, you have two types. One is transport request, one is workbench request. So this is a workbench request. So these are the access sequences. So new entry, P15. Patch 15, click on enter. Enter, save it. If you see here, this is the workbench request. Initially, when you're doing this, you will not have this number. It will be blank. So click on create and create it. Okay. Same as the transport request. I'm saving it. Post we save, select the line, go to the accesses, add the table what we created. So it is 515. Enter. Okay, and save it. After you put the table, select and see what are the fields. When you're doing this activity, this input or output, this input or output icon should be, everything should be green or blue. If it is not green or blue, if it is red, then the access sequence or the condition table what you created till now has an issue. You need to go back and check everything and come back. So remember, when you're creating an access sequence, after you add the table into these accesses, you need to come to these fields and see which all fields are getting reflected here. And all will have the technical name. For document type, it is BSART. For supplier, it is LFINR. And for purchase org, it is EKORG. You'll be able to see all the technical names, and all the things should be in blue or green. Okay. And save this. Now the access sequence is also created. Now we need to create the message type. Third step of configuration is the message type. So message type is very, very important. Here you will be able to have a lot of information which you need to understand. So if I go to the purchase order, first is the maintain message types of view. So here, click on new entry, or we have a standard output type, which is NEU. So NEU is a standard. So copy this and create your document, your message type. So now let me explain here. Each and everything is very important. So here you have the access sequence. In this access sequence, if you have multiple conditions, so in our access sequence, we have only one condition set. That is document type, supplier, and the purchase org. If you have multiple conditions, you will have multiple lines. So that access sequence needs to be updated here. Okay. So here you have the option to access to conditions. This needs to be enabled. If you enable this only, then the access sequence will come into picture. If not, it will not come. Okay. Then you have this cannot be changed. Cannot be changed is nothing but once the PO is created and the output is triggered to supplier, or output is triggered in the system, you cannot change anything. It will become a grayed out. So if you don't want to change, or if business don't want to change the output which is getting triggered from system, then you can enable this. Okay. Then you have this multiple issuing. Assume that once the purchase order is sent to supplier, and supplier will say that my system got crashed and the purchase order got deleted, which is sent from your system. Can you resend it? So we will go to the transaction, we will re-trigger the output and send the output to the supplier again. That will be possible only if you are enabling this multiple issuing. If you don't activate multiple issuing, and if you want to trigger an output again to the supplier, that is not possible. Okay. Then you have this partner independent output. So this partner independent output is nothing but whenever you want to trigger the output to the system, in that case, you need to activate this. Then you have do not write processing log. Whenever we do a transaction in SAP, whenever we send a PO to the supplier, I said that a document number will get generated for a reference. So that document number is getting stored in the processing log, a log information. If you don't want the log to be generated, you can enable this. These are the options you have in the message types. Coming to the second column, you have change output here. This is the program and this is a form. So whenever we are going to create an output, so output is sent through PDF. If you're sending through printout, if you're sending through EDI, or if you're sending through external send, everything is going through PDF. Only IDOC will go through data. That data will go and sit in their system. Apart from IDOC, all the other activities or all the other medium will be sent only a PDF. So how is that PDF sent? So SAP has this standard PDF generated for the POs, and that is named as form. And this form is designed in this program. So this part is a job of an ABAPer, the technical consultant. Okay. Second thing, going to the default values. Here in default values, you can tell system that when should the PO send the supplier. You have four options. One is you need to send the PO immediately as soon as it is created. Once the PO is created, there should be no any manual activities. And once it is released, it should automatically go to the supplier. When saving the application, the PO should be sent immediately. First option. Second option is based on your transaction. You are going to create a PO, and after some time, you will tell system to send the PO to the supplier. Third one. Third one is you are telling every day at this time, the PO should be sent. That too, it should be sent manually. Every day, the PO should be sent to suppliers end of the day. That too, we will trigger it manually and send it. The fourth option, you are going to have a scheduled job created every day, end of the business hours. All the purchase orders will be sent to suppliers automatically. So this is what we have in SAP, the four options. But all the business will use this option send immediately because they don't want to miss any PO which is not sent to supplier. Send immediately is the mostly used dispatch time. Then you have the transaction medium. So how are we going to transmission the medium? How are we going to send the purchase order to suppliers? So we have many options here. Are we going to send through printout? Are we going to send through fax? Are we going to send to telex? These all are PDFs. External send. When we do external send, the system will go to the vendor master and fetch the email ID from there and send a PDF copy to that email ID automatically. So printout, you need to download. Fax, you need to download and send. But external send, you don't want to download, it will automatically get sent. So apart from this, all these are the IDOC activities. EDI and the ALE are the IDOC activities. So it will directly go and land in the supplier system. Then you have the partner function here. To which partner function do you want to send? You want to send it to vendor master. Sorry, you want to send it to head office, ordering address, to which partner function? So as of now, it is set as head office. Then you have the communication strategy. Are we going to send through a letter format or are we going to send through a mail format? This you can decide whenever you are going to maintain the conditions. Next thing. This time is nothing but when are we going to send the orders? If you're going to send immediately, then this tab is no more valid. If you're sending, if then the default values, if you say that I want to send it to a scheduled job, so you're going to tell when is that scheduled job is going to get scheduled. Okay. Then you have the storage system, mostly not used. Okay. Then you have print. Here, this print parameter is very important. So you're going to tell system that are we going to print this using a printer or not? If you're not going to print this purchase order through printer, then keep it blank. If you're going to print this purchase, or if you're going to print this output through printer, then select the purchase group because normally the technical people will connect one printer for one purchase group. Okay. Then you have the mail. This is not more used. After this, click on enter. An entry already exists. So MNEU. Okay. Okay. All the things are already created. 387. So let me do one thing. Let me keep it as B115. Okay, enter. and is going to save. So B115 is the output condition what we are creating. Okay. So this is the message type what we're creating. Now we are done with the 4 steps. Now let us decide for which document are we going to trigger this output. Okay. Then we have this fine-tuned control. As I mentioned, when we change the purchase order, so today we created the purchase order that is sent to supplier based on this message types. And after some days, we are going to change the purchase order. And the change purchase order should be triggered to the supplier. In that case, you need to maintain this fine-tune control. Normally, as we copied the data, it should already be in there here, B115. So if you don't have it, click on new entry. Okay. Whenever we create a new purchase order, this should get triggered. My message type is B115. Whenever I'm changing the purchase order, even in that time it should trigger. You're telling system that when the output should get triggered. Okay. And if you want to send any reminders, if these all are for schedule agreements and the other stuff. For purchase order, it is only new and change. Okay. So I'm saving this. I'm going back. We are done with the 3rd step also. Now you need to decide for which document are we going to send this. So this is no more used. So this is no more active now. So I'm not going to touch this. Now you have this message determination schema, which is very, very important. For purchase orders, here we need to create one schema. So let me create. I'm going to save this. And under the schema, you are going to maintain your condition. Step 1, counter 1, B115. Okay, I'm going to save this. So just say that this is my condition, what I'm creating, and this will be used. So B8015. And the same thing you need to assign it here. So every person who is creating their output needs to create a message determination and assign it over here. Once they have practice is done, the other person can come and assign it over here. So follow with each other and get the information when it is done, and then other person can start. Okay. Message determination is done. If you want to play with the partner roles, you can play with the partner roles. But normally we don't use partner roles B115. You have it for VN, that is sufficient. Okay, we are going to send it to head office. And we all have all the other partner functions, but if we need, we can extend it. Okay, and the last 3 configuration is this. If you have any dedicated printers, for example, if buyer needs a dedicated printer, that can be assigned here. For example, my purchase group is this, and I have my dedicated output printer decided here. In our system, in SAP system, we have only one printer, which is LP01. You guys can assign the same printer for your IDs also. Then we have the last configuration, which is relevant. This is the table level. You don't check this as of now. We will go this later on. Okay. So these are the configuration which we are going to do for the output management. Now our output management is B115. So whenever we go and create a purchase order with the combination of the document type, supplier, and the purchase organization, the output should get triggered. So we said that our condition is document type. supplier, and the purchase organization, but we did not say the values. So what is the value? What is the document type? What is the supplier? What is the purchase organization? To maintain the values, there is a transaction to maintain the records, that is MN04. MN04 is a transaction to maintain the records. So what is the output? We created B115. When you put an output type, what we created, system will give you the conditions. Here, we set the condition saying that purchase document type, supplier, and the purchase organization. So I'm telling it is going to be BMAT. Supplier is 725, and the purchase organization is 1984. Using document type, BMAT is not specified. What happens? Someone has deleted. Well, let me check. I don't see purchase document type anymore here. Let me check if that is still there. No, I see someone has deleted it. Yeah, I see someone has deleted it. Yes, someone has deleted the document type which was created. Because yesterday we was able to find it, so today we are not able to. I cannot see the change log also. I don't see the log because in this log you will be able to see who has changed it, changed the configuration or deleted the configuration. But the change log is not applicable for this transaction. I think someone has deleted it. So I don't see my document type here. So I'll try to maintain some other document type AMAT. Okay. Then you have this purchase organization and put your partner number. Let me go back and try it again. So you have your access sequence here. So I'm putting my purchase organization. And the function is VN. You're going to send it for the head office, 725. And the medium will be print out. And you're going to send it immediately with the English language. Okay. Okay. Select the line, go to the communication, put the printer, and save it. Okay. Now we maintain the condition record also. Now let us go and create the purchase order. So I'm going to select the document type AMAT, purchase organization, purchase group, supplier 725, material, plant, and the quantity. So everything is done. I need to go and check the messages now here. Here in the messages, you will have the output coming here automatically. So B115. So this is how we are going to configure the output. If you don't configure the output management, you need to come to each and every PO here, enter the output manually, and trigger it. As we did the configuration of output management, we said that based on the document type AMAT 725 and the purchase organization is 1984, then the output should get triggered. For example, if I change it to NB, and if I go to messages, You will not see anything because we have not set that condition. The condition what we have set is the document type of a mat. Only then you will have the output getting triggered. And here you have the status. One is red, one is yellow, and one is green. If it is yellow, then it is ready to process. It is ready to process. When you have red, it has been failed. Okay. When you have green, then it is successfully processed. Okay. So I'll go one step back and save this PO. I'll open this PO, and if I go to messages, it is failed. It is failed. How we can check it is failed? So I said that the data of the output will be stored in the log. So we also saw in the configuration, do not show the log, that was not enabled. So to see the message why it is failed, you can go to this processing log and you will be able to see the error here. The PO is created, the output has been triggered, the log has been processed, but because there is a software missing in our SAP system, we have not installed the Adobe software in our system. Because of that, the PO is getting failed. Okay. So this is how the output needs to be configured. And do the configuration of output. If you get the output here, then the configuration what you have done is working fine. Okay. Any questions?
Venkatesh, the output which we have triggered is irrespective of supplier, or for each and every supplier we have to define the output?
For each and every supplier you need to define.
Okay. If business has multiple vendors, and for every vendor we have to go and define the output then?
Yes. If not, you can do in this way. If you are going to send the purchase order to the vendors through email, you know that you are only sending through email, you're not doing any other thing, then reduce your conditions to only for document type. So when you go to the MN04, so here your combination is document type, supplier, and purchase order. So if you
Okay.
don't want to maintain based on supplier, remove supplier in your conditions.
Okay.
Maintain only based on the document type and purchase order. So that system will trigger the output for all the suppliers under this document type. So you're telling on this condition I will trigger. As the supplier is under my condition, so even system is picking the supplier.
Okay. And Venkatesh, like as if you like when you were searching the document type BMAT which was deleted, like we have any separate class like how to retrieve the deleted file, or something like that, or?
No, once it is deleted, we cannot retrieve it, but we can see who has deleted and what is the change log. But once the data is deleted, we will not be able to retrieve it.
Okay. And we have a separate session for that, like to see who has deleted that change log session and all, or
You can directly check it over here. Here under this, you have the utensils and go to change log. And here you'll be able to see the change log. Put the date from which date to which date you want to see. So it was yesterday I was able to see, and today I'm not able to see. So if you execute, so this will show the changes. As of now, system is not recorded any changes. It is still in the backend. Once the backup is done, then system will be able to find.
okay. And also Venkatesh, if like when I was working as a user, and when I was using SAP as a user, so we had different level of access. Like I'm only able to view like purchase orders, purchase requisition, those things. So like that we can define that also, right?
Yes,
Like
that is
user
not.
defined.
Yeah, that is not defined by consultants. We have a basis consultant for that. They are also called as power users. Those what they will do is they will prepare the roles and responsibilities or roles and authorizations. Roles and authorization file, an Excel file. So they define this user should have an access only for this buyer. And based on that, for example, this is a user. This is a user transaction. So here you have the roles. So I can decide that this user can have what roles. If you just want to give a user that he only needs to display the purchase order, he should not have access to create a purchase order, then the role regarding the create purchase order should be deleted here. You have a strategic buyer, so he will access to create the purchase order. But if I go to any of the role which is related to purchase here under procurement, he will be able to access the contracts, but this person will not be able to access the contracts. So this depends on the roles and authorization which basis is deciding with the help of business. So business will tell this user should have access to this, and this business should have access to this. So based on that, they will set the roles and assign it over here for each and every user. This is done by the basis consultants.
Okay. Thank you.
Meditation. Can the PO be sent to the multiple people? I mean, like to the vendor and also when the PO is generated, a notification can be sent to the person who has created the PR.
You mean that the PO needs to be sent to the PO creator also, the PO buyer also?
Ah, yes, like he gets a notification like when the PO has been generated, something like that.
Yeah, you will not get a notification, but he can come and check in this transaction if it is green or not. If it is green, then it is sent. You will not get any notification.
So the he doesn't get any emails or notification. He has to
No.
come to the PR and he has to check it.
Yes. Any more questions? Okay, if no questions, then we have covered P2P cycle, we have covered release procedure, we have covered the output management. Now in the upcoming sessions, we'll be seeing how are we going to manage the inventory, how are we going to manage the accounting entries. So now upcoming session will completely depend on the integration with other modules. So till now, we are only speaking in the perspective of MM module. So in the upcoming sessions, we'll be seeing how the MM module is integrating with other modules. So for example, if MM is integrated with finance, then how the accounts are getting affected in the purchase order. If MM is getting integrated with warehouse, then how the inventory is managed. If MM is getting integrated with SD or sales and distribution, how the transfer is happening. So now we will discuss each and every topic linking with the other modules. Okay. And I think we also need to cover one more topic, which is service procurement. So let me cover that part. And from next week, we can freshly start integration with other modules. So let me cover that part. Service procurement, it does not take much time. It takes only 20 minutes. It is same as the normal procurement, but let me explain what is the difference between service procurement and the normal procurement. So service procurement. So the P2P cycle is nothing but a procure to pay. So what we do here, we raise a purchase requisition. This purchase requisition gets converted to PO. The PO is sent to supplier. Supplier will manufacture, send the goods. Based on that, you do goods receipt. Based on that, you do invoice receipt. Based on that, you do payment. Right? Now, this is a procure to pay cycle. So now I'm dividing the procure to pay cycle into two categories. One is material, one is service. This process is completely dedicated for material. Now, if I speak in the perspective of service, you raise a purchase requisition. This purchase requisition is converted to purchase order. This is sent to supplier. But supplier will not manufacture here. Supplier will directly come to your warehouse. He will come to your warehouse. Sorry. Supplier will directly come to your warehouse, or supplier will come to the place where the material is repaired. So he'll come to that place. He will repair. And he will give a service entry sheet. He's going to give a service entry sheet. He will not do the goods receipt. He will give a service entry sheet saying that this is a service what we have done. So the buyer will check all the service and he is going to approve the service entry sheet. Once the service entry sheet is approved, the goods receipt is happening automatically. You don't want to post goods receipt. This is the main difference. So when you are purchasing the material, you place a purchase order to the supplier asking, I need this material, this needs to be delivered. He will deliver you, you will do the goods receipt and store in the stock. Now coming to the service procurement, you are asking supplier that there is something repair in my warehouse that needs to be repaired. Can you come and repair it in my place? So he will come, he will repair, and he will provide the service history bill. For example, take an example, you go to a car showroom for your car service. You give your car to the showroom person or the service person. So service person will tell that this is the quotation. These are the spare parts I need to fit. These are the service labor or labor charges, all those things. And that is called as a service entry sheet. He will give you a sheet saying that these are the parts which are changed and these are the services what are done. So that is a service entry sheet. As soon as you receive the service entry sheet, you don't want to pay immediately. You can check everything. You can check everything. You can go for a test ride. You can do a test. Check what all parts are changed. You can ask what is the reason. After you approve, only then you're going to pay. The same way, repair happens. He will give you a service entry sheet that this is the changes which we have done. This is the repair what you have done. You're going to see everything. You're going to approve it. And then only you're going to pay. This is the difference. This is the main difference between material procurement and service procurement. The second difference, when you're purchasing a material, when you're placing a material procurement, you will input the material number. But in service procurement, you will not input the material number. Material number will be blank. You will input the service number. What is the service number? We have seen the material master. Material master is nothing but we will have a lot of materials with complete information, all those things. But in service master, you will have service numbers. Machine service, AC service, a laptop service. So this is your master data. Okay. And then we discuss regarding the item category when we configure item P2P cycle. For material procurement, the item category is blank. For service procurement, the item category is D. So this will differentiate what is standard procurement and what is service procurement. Keep it very simple. If you want to buy a service, you are going to use service procurement. You will be creating a purchase order same way, but you will be using the item category D, and you will create the purchase order and send to supplier. Supplier will come to your warehouse, repair it. Instead of doing a goods receipt, he will give you a service entry sheet, and you will check all the service entry sheet, approve it, and then the goods receipt is done automatically. Okay. Now, two things what we need to see in system is how are we going to create the service master? Because we know how to create a material master, but how are we going to create the service master? That is the first thing. After creating the service master, we will run one complete cycle and see how the service procurement works. So to create the service master, we'll be using the transaction AC03. To create material master, we used MM01. To create service master, we'll be using AC03. Okay. Before I move to system, any questions here regarding service procurement?
So the payment for service procurement still again it will follow the pay to pay cycle, is it?
Yes, it will.
And then question, what about the price? Like in material, it is like fixed price, but for the service, price will not be fixed, right?
No, price is not fixed. You need to define the price manually. Any more questions?
Uh, Venkatesh, this is a generic question. As per the business requirement, can we have the custom unit of measurement as well?
Custom
For
unit of measure is not recommended because we are using ISO standard. If custom is required, we can do it, but that is a bit complex. We need to take an approval from SAP because playing with unit of measure is not recommended.
so, the predefined unit of measurement is preferred.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so now let me go into system and create the service master, and then we will see one complete cycle. So we'll go to the transaction AC03. In this AC03 transaction, this is a service master. So you can click on create. We said that the material type of service will always be a CRV. So we have a CRV here, selecting this. Based on of measure, how we want to going to measure this service. I will measure this service based on hour. So normally everyone in the service will go with hour. HR is for hour, I guess. Let me check what is the unit of measure. HR. HR is an hour. Post that, give a description. For example, let me take this as an laptop service. Okay. And now you have all the fields active. Give the service group. For example, let me take this as just a service. This is same as how you create your material. So valuation class. That's it. And this is what are the important information which we need to fill and save it. And remaining everything we will take it manually. So this is a service number what is created. Okay, apart from this, we don't have any views here. We don't have any more fields like material master. Okay, now if I go and create a purchase order, as I mentioned, put your supplier, put all the information as same as procurement, but your item category should be D. It should be D. D means service. If you are maintaining the item category D, there is no condition that you should maintain the material number. You can just maintain that short text also. Okay, service, put the material group. Put plant. Okay, this one is an account assignment. So let me go and create it again. Supplier, purchase group, account assignment K. K is nothing but cost center. So short text and the material group. Plant is this. Enter. When I enter this account assignment K and the item category as D, system will give me two new tabs here, which is called as service. So this information is only coming for the item category D. For example, if I remove the item category D, I'll not have this service. If I put the item category D, only then the service comes into picture. Okay, put the service number what we created. Okay, say how many hours are they should work. I said 10 hours. For each hour, I'm going to pay 100 rupees and give the GL account. GL account is nothing but from which account do you want to pay the amount to the vendors. Okay, I'm going to save this. So this is the service view. I'm telling I need the laptop service for 10 hours, and for each hour I'll be paying 100 rupees. Okay, now if now supplier will come, this PO is sent to supplier. Supplier will come and repair the laptops, and he will give a service entry sheet, and I need to enter the service entry sheet. So if I go to the Migo transaction and try to do the goods receipt, system will directly tell you cannot do the goods receipt for this purchase order, because this purchase order is not a material purchase order, this is a service purchase order. In Migo transaction, you can do goods receipt only for the material purchase order. If you want to do the goods receipt for service purchase order, you need to go to the transaction ML81N. ML81N is a transaction where you can create the service entry sheet. So open the purchase order from here. Okay, click on create, put the description. Okay, here you have the services. Click on this select services. You will have all the services related to the PO. Click enter. This is service. Select, copy. From where this line is coming? This line is coming from the purchase order, what we selected here. So assume that if the supplier has worked complete 10 hours and handed over the laptops to you, you can do for complete service. If he has not done service, he has done only service for 2 hours, change the quantity to 2 hours here. Okay, and save it. As soon as you save, this will be still in red. This is your service entry sheet number. And this service entry sheet number will get updated in your purchase order. If I refresh my PO, you have the purchase order history coming, and this is a service what is getting updated. So 324, 324. Once the service entry sheet is created, that service entry sheet will get updated in your purchase order saying that this service has been done. And the buyer will get notified that this service has been done by the supplier. I need to go and check. No buyer or the service people will come to the warehouse, check the laptop if it is serviced or not. He will check everything and he will go to edit mode. If everything is okay, then he will release. If anything is not okay, he will block. Okay, he will block. For example, let us take that it is accepted. So I'll accept. As soon as I accept, the color will get changed from red to yellow. And as soon as I save, this will get converted to green and the goods receipt will get created automatically. So if I save this, there is an error. So error is automatic account determination. Let me do that. Only for this error, we have a different session. I'll explain it there. What is this error? As of now, I'll clear this. Okay, I'll post it again. Okay, I'll go to edit again, accept, and save. Still we have an error. Okay, I need to go back and come inside. Okay, I go to edit, accept, and save. Still I have an error. WRX. I just resolved this error. I don't know why still system is giving me this error. Now let me try. Let me completely go back and come inside again. Hit, accept, and I'm going to save this. Okay, it is getting updated and saved. It is accepted now and it is green. As soon as it is converted to green in the purchase order, in purchase order history, as of now, you have only service entry sheet. If I refresh, you will see the goods receipt posted automatically. This is because you accepted this service entry sheet. In service procurement, you don't want to post a goods receipt going to the MIGO transaction. You can directly post it using the service entry sheet. So this is how the service procurement works. Okay, if I have only posted for 3 services now, 3 hours, and we still have 7 hours. If you want to post again, you click on create, go to service selection, click on enter. System will show services. System will show 8. There are still 8 hours left. Now you can post how many hours supplier is giving you, and then in the same way, the service entry sheet will get reflected in your purchase order, and you can go and check the services. If everything is fine, then you can accept it and save. Then the goods receipt will get posted automatically. So this is how the service entry sheet and the service procurement works. Any questions?
Like the material number or the initial service number which has been created can be used for multiple suppliers also, right? Multiple
Yes, you can
vendors.
do for multiple suppliers, yes.
Okay. And while selecting the item category D, there was other item category also, or limit and all. That is like we will be not using.
No, we will be using all the item categories. For example, this is consignment, subcontracting, third party, stock transfer. All these are the upcoming sessions. You can check in your syllabus. You will have stock transfer, subcontracting, consignments. You'll be seeing all those.
Okay.
So these are the different types of purchases what we do.
And what is limit for Venkatesh?
Limit is used for rental. We don't use it. They'll be used for rental. There is an option called rental team who will be using they will be doing only the stock, oh, no, not stock movement. They'll be doing only the value movement. So they'll be using the limit functionality there.
Okay. Thank you.
Only rental activities happens there.
Okay. And Venkatesh, which version of SAP has been moving in the industry now?
2023.
And we are using we are practicing in the same version, right?
In 2022.
Okay.
There is no much difference between 2023 and 22 in perspective of MM.
Oh. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. If no questions, then we'll wrap up here. We'll meet evening to discuss on define industry sector, the requirement gathering.
Venkatesh, where can we find the level 2 videos in Teachable?
I think Prabhu will be sharing, or Prabhu will be adding one more classroom to it, and he'll assign to your user IDs, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.